100 years, 6 Stanley Cups, hundreds of players, millions of fans, countless memories. And yet, just one family is synonymous with the Blackhawks. For generations, the Wirtz family has carried the mantle as stewards of our original 6 franchise. And nowadays, it's team chairman and CEO Danny Wirtz, leading the team into its next chapter.
Well, thanks very much, Danny. I know you're a busy guy. You just came back from the Olympics. It's great to see you.
Oh, great to see you. Anytime.
Talk a little hockey and talk the past and talk the present and the future. But I guess right away, because it was so big, let's talk about your Olympic experience and seeing USA win gold in both women's and men's.
It's just absolutely incredible experience. I'd never been to an Olympics before and had the privilege to be able to go. And I got there right in time for the quarterfinals for the men and then right into the women's gold medal game. And obviously the Olympics, the international fan bases, the teams, the camaraderie, the energy in Milan was just incredible. So it was like every day we got to, we ate a little Italian food during the day and then off to watch hockey at night. It was really an amazing couple days, and to see a gold medal live and in person, starting with the women and then of course the men's game on Sunday, it just, true once in a lifetime experience.
Well, you're a Chicago guy and you grew up, watching so many great US-born athletes. I'll just mention a couple because we'll go through it, but I mean, you've got JR and you've got 𝗵cie 𝗄𝗶𝗟, and they didn't have a chance to win it. What kind of pride did you feel just watching the celebration?
Tremendous pride for how they won that game. Obviously, the way in which they won in overtime, just absolutely thrilling. Of course, I was in a suite with some fellow NHL owners, mostly Canadian, so I had to sort of celebrate in a little bit more of a subdued way than I'd like, but it was just an absolute thrill.
Great for hockey, isn't it?
Great, and the fact that, on a Sunday morning in February, everyone woke up across the country. Half the country was in a snowstorm, and the one thing that was on TV across the board was hockey. I mean, that is how you grow this game. That is how you get more people to tune into this game, and I know the numbers, reflected that. So I'm really hoping that just as we did in the '80s, saw that bump from that, Miracle on Ice, this next wave is, and with the growth of women's hockey, I think we're in a real great time for the sport.
Yeah, well, you'll have great memories of that forever.
Absolutely.
Much like anybody growing up in 1980 and seeing Mikey Eruzione and the great USA team with Jim Craig. So we'll go back memory lane then a little bit here and go to the, let's go to the Chicago Stadium.
Yeah.
Because when I first met you, you were probably 8, 9, and 10, roaming around the bowels of the stadium with your grandfather. And I know your dad wasn't around there an awful lot at that time, running other businesses, but what are your memories of the old Chicago Stadium?
I have vast memories. They're very sensory. I can remember the smells, I can remember the sights. The stadium, by today's standards, you would not consider the Chicago Stadium kid-friendly. It was as if I was going into a dive bar with my dad and grandfather on like a weekly basis. This was an adult environment, right? It was smoky, there was plenty of beer being consumed, it was loud, it was raucous, so perfect place to run around as a kid, right? But no, so many memories, and obviously being able to, share that with my family. I mean, for us, especially Sunday night hockey is sort of our Sunday family dinner. So chance to see cousins, aunts, and uncles, my grandfather, and rare that you actually get to see your grandparent and your dad in a work environment, right? And so I got to see how Bill conducted himself at those games. He held court in his office, and just to kind of be the kid observing all that was a real thrill.
Those paneled walls, if they could talk,
huh? Absolutely, absolutely. And you soak in a lot. I actually remember at one point, it was actually my dad and my grandfather would kind of grab me and be like, let's go. And we would go down into the coach's room. This was probably during the Mike Keenan era, maybe a little bit of Daryl Sutter. And I got to sit in the coach's, which now seems, I wouldn't go near the coach's room now. But back then, I guess that was just how it was done. And we'd sit in there and, Paulie would kind of hold court and ask the coach how the game went. And so just to be a kid, fly on the wall at the time.
You just sit there in a chair?
Oh, I didn't say a damn word. I drank my little Coke and I just sat there and just took it all in. So those are the amazing memories. Being able to watch, that one Stanley Cup run was really awesome. And then just being a kid, getting some cash from my dad and going to get ice cream in the mezzanine level. There was one ice cream vendor, it was a Haagen-Dazs vendor, way up in the balcony. and I would kind of navigate through all the adults and under the cloud of smoke and go and get my ice cream and stuff like that. So, I mean, I could go on. The stories, that place is still so special. It's special to our fans. I know that love to share, you know, how special that place was and how their fandom started there and now continues at the United Center. So I think the stadium's, you know, in all of our hearts.
The Chicago Stadium closed in 1995, and that gave way to the United Center. The brand new home for the Blackhawks and the Bulls signaled an exciting time for many, but not so much for Bill Wirtz, as evidence from this clip from the last regular season home game in the original Madhouse.
Let's take a look at your grandfather, Bill, that I had a wonderful relationship with.
Yeah.
And so thankful that I got to experience one-on-ones with Bill and dealings with him, not only as a player with Bill, but then afterwards he started helping me with the broadcast. So, but here he is, and we're talking about closing the stadium.
I've dreaded ever since we announced the new building, and I'm trying to ignore it. Like it's not really going to happen, you know? And, because as far as I'm concerned personally, this is the greatest building to watch a hockey game, and there'll never be another building like it. I say that, and you go across the street and see the bells and the whistles and everything on the new one, you think I'm crazy, you know? And it's not good for selling tickets in a new building either. You know? But today I have to be very honest. It's a very sad day for the Wirtz family, and because we are seeing the last regular season game out of the greatest building that's ever been built, not only for hockey, for basketball as well. And Michael Jordan picked up on a couple of my remarks, and for basketball, he still feels the same way that the Wirtzes feel about hockey in this building.
Very cool. Yeah, I know that was a real sad day for him. He knew of all the really important reasons why the United Center was going to be what it became. But you know, when it's like a piece of your family, you know, we had to say goodbye to. So I know that was a hard time, but clearly the energy and the passion that made the stadium so great was able to be transferred. And we'll have those great memories of the stadium forever. So that's awesome to see. I know that was an emotional time for him.
It sure was. How many seats do you have from the old stadium?
Gosh, I don't have any.
Oh my goodness, I'll lend you a couple.
Yeah, exactly. I can still, you know, that red vinyl, folding chair where a few times I would stand on the chair, you know, the whole thing.
And if you went too far to the back, it would flip up.
It would flip up and you'd crash, yeah.
Danny, get off the furniture.
Oh, man. And that last game, now, I don't know if it was the last regular season. There was actually a last, the playoff game, which was the very last game of the stadium. I actually ended up on the ice with my high school buddies, and we were just fighting at center ice just to commemorate the
I remember seeing you. We were doing Hawk Vision.
Yeah, just kind of.
That's right.
Soaking it all in, knowing this was the last time we'd ever be here, kind of post-game. And so we were just knuckleheads at the time, but just
that's great memories.
Great times.
Danny, you're front and center here, and your family has been, but how fun was that? And you're all still best friends.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, our family, you know, at the end of the day, are huge fans. So, you know, these games are part of our family rituals just as much as all families kind of have those times. And so not only are we, you know, watching Blackhawks games, you know, my cousins are much more diligent in organizing pickup hockey games outdoor, either in Cicero, or we have an outdoor rink at our family farm in Mundelein, or just here at our new facility. You know, anytime we have a chance as a family to come jump on the ice, we do. So
you don't put the pads on still, do you?
I've semi-retired. I hate to even say retired because I feel I identify as a goaltender forever, but man, it's tough to get up and down these days.
we should let the fans know that one of the first calls that I got, you know, sitting there in Wheaton, Illinois.
Yeah.
Remember, what was the phone, green or, you know, all these colors phone, and Lynn says, Darren, Rocky Wirtz is on the phone. And I pick it up, Mr. Wirtz, yes. And he goes, would you mind taking Danny to, was it Wilmette or 𝗦𝗏𝗀?
It was 𝗦𝗏𝗀. I played at 𝗦𝗏𝗀. Yes, exactly.
And he said, I've got some ice, and Danny wants to be a goalie. I'd like you to really help him out. What time, Mr. Wirtz? I'll be right there.
Absolutely.
And we went on the ice just to bring it back so full circle.
I mean,
did I seem really old to you back then? At that time?
Pretty amazing. I mean, I actually had two the people that I got to train with. I mean, talk about the privilege of being a goaltender with instruction from Darren Pang. There was one session, I think Tony came out.
Oh,
and then, of course, when I went into high school, I was able to get on the ice with 𝗻𝗂 𝗏𝗏. So, like, very, very fortunate to just to have these experiences. It's the best sport to play. It's obviously the best sport to watch. And being a goalie, you just try to find, you know, some mentors in this weird position that I found myself in.
It's pretty good having Pat Foley make the call for all the saves of Tony when he was retiring. Bannerman during that time.
Absolutely.
I was lucky enough to make a few glove saves.
No one called those big saves better. You know,
boy,
big save.
You're exactly right. He built them up, and they were dramatic.
Absolutely.
Saves from 𝗵𝗶𝗋 and all the way down the list.
That's
boy,
right.
oh boy. Would you recall? Do you have recollections of advice from your dad, from Rocky? You know, during the time, the healthy days and winning the Stanley Cups, and then the transition, and what you think right now of what he would think of this, and maybe this grand dream that you fulfilled for him?
I think about him every day, obviously, and his wisdom was not often articulated in the form of advice, because he was very hesitant to probably to dictate anything to me. He really wanted me to sort of figure things out on my own and come to my own conclusions. And I think that's an amazing gift of his as a father, to guide me. But at the same time, subtly, he would try to impart his lessons, right? And sometimes sometimes less subtly, but more times more like how he conducts himself, right? And so I take so many things away from him. You know, I think how his philosophies around relationships. I think that's one of the fundamental things in how he led as a leader, and especially with the Blackhawks. And when he talked about when he took over, his job was really in the relationship game, rebuilding relationships, establishing new relationships, and from the fans, media, alumni, whatever that might be. And that relational part of leadership, I think, was always like his superpower. Yeah. And so that's the stuff that I tried to, watch him in action and how he did it. He had such a great way with people, and he was able to relate to folks, from, the 𝗬𝗏𝗍 staff at the United Center all the way up to, his peers at the Board of Governors. I mean, he really had an amazing effect on people, and that's clearly something I tried to learn from when I was able to work right next to him, and obviously I find myself in that position today.
It's an art.
It really is.
It's an art. I do recall the last conversation I had with him. I was on my Adirondack chair, my little place in Michigan, and I poured myself a bourbon as Rocky would, and we talked on the phone, and he said, "I'm bringing you back full circle."
Right.
And there was a way that he spoke to me and with me about coming back here to Chicago.
That's right. It was. I think that was one of the last kind of deals he was sort of our secret weapon. In many ways, he was like, "Danny, you have to run things now." But for a few special projects, we brought in the secret weapon, and we said, "I think a 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗃𝗃 might."
The right-hander.
Yeah, exactly. He definitely was a closer. So yeah, those I do think a lot.
I'm forever thankful.
We lost him quickly, but I do remember one of the last things. It was a refrain from really the draft onwards that summer was he's like, "It's time to get a fourth generation of the Wirtz family on that Stanley Cup," and so to me that became the mandate, and I take that goal with me every day when I come to work and trying to do everything we're doing here with the team. We absolutely want to achieve that goal.
The banner years gave way to a whole new generation of Blackhawk fans. The way names like Hull, Mikita, and Esposito were revered, that was now how names like Toews, Kane, and Keith were idolized by Chicago's youth. But at the end of the day, there might not have been a name more celebrated than Rocky Wirtz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You throw one hell of a parade. Well, it's been a long time between drinks. 2.5 years ago, we stood before you and committed the Chicago Blackhawks to be a relevant team again. We also said we would not rest until we brought the Stanley Cup home to you. Well, if this isn't relevant, I don't know what is. And with respect to the Stanley Cup, it's home, and it's the place we want it to stay.
Wow.
It's pretty good, huh? You remember what?
Well, first off, I mean, he's wearing a suit in like a 95 degree. It was like the most humid day. Everyone's in polo shirts, and of course, no one told him that he can just wear a polo shirt. He came in his uniform, so that's classic. Still looks impeccable. The hair not out of place, but
French cuffs, by the way.
100%, absolutely.
Right,
Always
always
monogram
French
on that, yeah,
Yep.
for sure. I mean, just incredible. I mean, the fact that most owners don't get cheered like that. That is and he never took that for granted. He knew that does not come with the job, and especially for our family, we have we're not mistaken. But that just was the love that the fans had for that incredible moment and for the work that he put in to assemble that team, and a real special time. I mean, that's the inspiration I have every day to think about. How do we get back there? How do we bring that cup back to Chicago?
Okay, how do we bring it back to Chicago?
Starts with everything we're doing right now,
It does,
you know, and
yeah.
just as that team was built through the draft, through development, through incredible core players and leaders, I see so many similarities of where we're at right now. Different circumstances, different timelines per se, but I really believe what Kyle's doing, and we're doing things the right way, and God willing, we'll be right back there.
Tell you what, speaking of the right way, how about this? I mean, this is incredible. We're going to take the fans through here.
Great.
From here at Centennial Hall, we're going to go up to Rocky's Bar.
Great.
I mean, and just go for a little walk.
Terrific.
And just show everybody what this means to minor hockey,
Yeah.
to hockey in general, to everything that you guys done at the grassroots program for a long time here in Chicago.
Sure, terrific.
Does that sound like a good
Let's
idea?
do it.
Okay, bud, great stuff. Now this is fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
I remember with the curved stick of Bobby and Stan, I remember Stan, who came up, he came up the ice one time in 1984, I was called up, in sweatpants. So he'd been retired for 4 years. And he put 20 pucks in front of me and picked me apart. I couldn't stop one. Like he toyed with me. And he had one of these twigs, and I couldn't find the puck off this thing.
Gosh,
Do you remember the stories of how they curved them?
Oh my gosh.
And this is great that you guys have them right here that fans can look at.
Absolutely. We really tried to, we tried to find some like more nuggets that you may not always know about or learn about. And then of course the items and the stories and the moments and quotes and things. So, and this will be very dynamic. I think this is our opening, array of things, but over time we'll be able to do special features in different eras, players, whatever it might be. But this first lot is really incredible, and some beautiful pieces from our archives as the Blackhawks, and then of course the 𝗵𝗍𝗶 family, the Esposito family, so generous to share things that have been sitting in their archives, if you will, for so many years. Thank God they held on to these things. This is history.
I bet if a lot of our fans who grew up with the Taves and the Kane and the Host and that great group of players, they probably don't even know that Bobby Hull had the record-breaking 51st. They know him as a goal scorer, but how about that quote right there? It was a thrill getting the goal, but the biggest thrill of all was that the roar from the crowd.
Bobby used to always talk about the roar, and the roar that kind of it got him going.
Yeah.
Like he ramped up his speed as a skater, and then the roar would go again, and then he would just wind that thing up and then let it rip. So, just awesome.
Incredible. And then you go back to it, and this is our love of the game here. But
you got to have some goalie feature in here. Yeah.
Obviously, the old pads. I think they're old Coopers right there.
Yeah.
And but the mask itself. Now he's a modern day innovator.
Absolutely.
Like when he felt like he needed more protection, he was the first to put the cage around the eyes, and now
that almost is like the design for what the modern goalie mask looks like with the cage in front, and of course his iconic mask. You see that mask, and that's Tony. And then they've replicated that for street hockey for the last 50 years, and all came out of Tony's innovation. And of course the pads, he loved tinkering with his equipment and making
them fatter than
the rules at the time were different. We were talking about it earlier. He created something in between to kind of help with the 5-hole. He created some plates, I think, in front of the skates.
That's
so
right, yeah.
He was always tinkering and innovating with his equipment. So it's great to be able to have his pieces here. And
it was great that Maryland too shared.
Absolutely.
I mean that's his mask, and it was taken right from their place in Tampa Bay.
Absolutely, by hand, by one of our trusted employees, Ethan, who made sure we got it here in one piece.
Well, Danny, this is really incredible. I mean, when you look at what the steel moving in here, the building, the thought, the dream, is it what you exactly?
It's actually, you know, beyond what I even imagined. And you know, this whole facility was really my dad's idea from the very beginning. In our initial, you know, what would start off as the practice rink for the Blackhawks for the pro team, which turned into then obviously a community rink, which he was insistent on. And instead of building one, let's build two. And then of course the last several years, you know, we were looking over the fence at this land sitting right here, and you know, and the demand and the interest, especially in the city limits. Obviously there's more demand for hockey and skating than we have rinks. And so, you know, it was a very organic conversation to say, let's figure out a way to acquire that land and to build this addition. And then with this addition, you know, think about other things we can do to sort of create better community and experience within the building. So
well, you've done it.
Yeah, thank you.
You've done it. There's nothing like a Saturday morning watching the Hawks practice and seeing the flood of kids. There's nothing like it. And I know the players, and we would say the same thing as former players, the energy you get from watching the youthful enthusiasm watching you. It's nothing like it.
Oh, and the level of diversity of hockey that's being played here. You can on one rink see Connor Bedard ripping one-timers. You can see the St. Ignatius high school team practicing. You can have the Boys and Girls Club learning how to skate and stepping on the ice for the first time. And then the USHL, the future of the sport, you know, playing in our, like all in the same day. And then the parents and the guests and the fans all interacting.
You know where they go afterwards?
Rocky's Table and Tap.
Look at the space that you have right here.
Absolutely.
Rocky's Table and Tap.
This was, I would say, this is a real differentiator of this next phase of the Blackhawks Ice Center, and really bringing, which, you know, the food and beverage world is also part of our family. So bringing hospitality to the forefront, creating experience to bring people together, and of course, you know, having it Rocky's namesake. You know, he wouldn't be a guy that would like a big statue of him out front of this rink, but he would love the fact that this bar not only is helping us, you know, drive the business, but bring people together. Bring people together over a cocktail or a glass of wine, and celebrate our great sport and great times and memories and games that will be happening here.
Well, I am so happy that it's here now at the practice facility, because at the United Center, Rocky's Bar,
yeah, you're a regular.
Every single night,
yep.
After a game, I go up there, have one. Now, practice is going to be going on, so I'm not going to get to have it, but the lunch, the food, the feeling of everybody here with the USHL, and this is going to be really something else. I think he's honestly, he's looking from above and so proud.
I think he's really proud. He cared a lot about quality. He always believed if you're going to do something, like, it doesn't cost you that much more to just do it right. And I think the way our team thought about the design, the way we really thought through what's the experience as a player, as a parent, as a community member. What are all those things to make this special? And I think the team really nailed it.
Oh, well, here we go. Okay. All right. And now, certainly for your father, Rocky, thank you so much. What would he have while he's here?
He would have he was equal opportunity across wine and spirits.
Yes, he was.
So his beloved 𝗏𝗏 is obviously on feature here, his Chardonnay, but he did like he would call this a big boy drink. And he would enjoy an old-fashioned made with a product that, of course, we sold in our portfolio at Breakthrough Beverage.
I'd say there's some Woodford in here.
Absolutely.
Cheers to you.
Cheers.
And your dad. Wonderful.